We have a beautiful guest with us this morning, talking to us about a kaupapa that's happening later on in the month. We have the beautiful Auntie Ngareta Patea in the house to talk to us about Brooklyn's Love Foundation and the Brooklyn Battle Touch Tournament that's taking place, and it's in its 15th year. So tēnā koe, Auntie, koe whai wahi mai ki au, ki te kōrero tahi, ki te wānanga tahi, mo tēnei kaupapa tino miharo rawa atu. So we'll just get you to introduce yourself to our whānau and to our listeners, and then we'll get into some kōrero and pātai.
Morena tātou. Ngareta Patea, the better half of my husband Dominic, who most of the touch people know. Sadly, he couldn't make it here today. He's just feeling a wee bit unwell. But anyway, yeah, so Ngareta, I hail from Taihape, Ngārouru, Raukawa ki te tonga, Āti Nui a Pāpārangi, Wakatoa, and over in Heretaunga as well. Lived most of my life here in Whanganui since the age of 2, alongside my parents and siblings. Lived up in Aramoho for many, many years. And then eventually hooked up with my huarangatira through boarding school days back in the day. And we've set up home and now currently raising our mokopuna with us over in Gomville. Took on board a couple of my whānau mokopuna over 20 years ago now. And sadly the younger of them, Brooklyn, passed from after 9 months struggle with the cancer journey. And his name has been remembered through a foundation that we set up back in 2016. And of course with the support and help of many whānau and friends, and particularly associated through Dom's participation through Touch, we've been running a Brooklyn Battle Touch tournament ever since. So this year, on the 17th of January, we'll be running our 15th tournament over at Springvale Park.
Ka pai, Auntie. Mihi ana ki a koe. O tino ki te kaupapa. And to our brother and to our mokopuna, Brooklyn Hati-Bennett, B-Man, 15 years of this kaupapa, of this tournament, and it's a blast. Like, we have people from around the motu come, and it's kind of been incorporated into the annual touch cycle, and touch season. So it's very, a great tournament and a good kaupapa for whānau to come in and enjoy and remember the life of Brooklyn. Pātai tuatahi, for anyone who might not know, what is the Brooklyn's Love Foundation and how did it all begin here? We've talked about, it's through B-Man's journey and his cancer journey, but it's a bit more than that. We're supporting whānau.
Absolutely. So it really got started while Brooklyn was up at Starship. Anyway, and a very close friend of ours and also a trustee, Kylie Jo, who lives over in Manawatu, she decided to run a touch tournament over in Manawatu as a way of raising funds, kind of like a Make-A-Wish for B-Man while he was up in Starship. So since then, it's grown. And I think over there it started with like a dozen teams or something. Sadly, when he passed the following year, we decided with Kylie that we'd bring it back to Whanganui. And ever since that time, it's been growing in numbers. So just reiterating earlier, last year we had over 46 teams that registered. All of the registration money that comes in from those teams goes directly into the foundation. And it's made available for whānau in need, who are struggling with the cancer journey alongside their babies. This year, and every 5th year actually, we run a bit of a system where teams can register through koha. And already we've got over 50 teams. I think it's 54 or something. And registrations are still open. So, again, whatever fee money that usually comes in, and some teams give more than what the normal registration would be, because they're giving from their heart and they're giving for the kaupapa. And what teams tend to vie for when they're entering in to the tournament, we've got 6 grades running, they're all wanting to take the win and walk away with beads made into a bracelet, glass beads, which are representative of Brooklyn's 900 plus beads that he collected through Beads of Courage. So it's pretty prestigious. People know that they're coming in with elite referees, so expecting a really good day of touch, and it starts something like 9:30 in the morning, and the finals usually run around 4:30 in the afternoon. And we have a number of different local businesses that come in and support. So, places like Low Cost, our waste management team. We have Australasia or Fleet Australasia who mark all the fields, which, costs hundreds and hundreds, and you're marking 10 touch fields. We have places like Woolworths who support with kai for our referees. And the list goes on. We're just really thankful that we have the support from lots of businesses, including places like Te Puni Kōkiri, like Ngā Tangata Tiaki, and other stores that provide products for spot prices throughout the day. This year we've decided to run a second tournament and just having a go at running a Ambrose Golf tournament, which will happen on Sunday the 18th as well. So whilst we thought, well, we'll just start off really, small, be lucky to get half a dozen teams. Well, we're on 12 teams already, and that registration hasn't closed yet either. So, really looking forward to 2 fun days, of just activity and whānau coming together. But it is for us all about raising awareness, not so much about, making heaps of money or paying out money prizes or anything like that. That's not what our kaupapa is about. But it is allowing whānau to be able to access support for themselves as a whole whānau, beyond just the primary caregiver and their baby. It's about the whole whānau. So that's what we're about. We do make a point of trying to meet up with the whānau, which is done through a simple referral. Could be a phone referral, it could be a private message, it could be someone tapping on my shoulder, it could be an auntie coming to see me about their whānau. And then my job usually is to make first contact and just have a discussion and make sure that they feel kind of comfortable with working with somebody like the Brooklyn's Love Foundation, and then we assess what sort of needs they might have. It's really hard for whānau who are working through a traumatic experience like this to know what they want, or to even ask, because mostly it's not normal for people to ask for help. Which is sad, right? Because, we do want to encourage that sort of thing. We have a tendency to read between the lines and talk to other people if we need to talk to other people. If it's about trying to support them to get to appointments, or if they don't have a working, reliable car, how can we support with that sort of thing? Flights to Starship, that sort of stuff. So, so that's kind of what we're all about. And really thankful for all the different businesses and sponsors that want to play a part in our life too.
Absolutely, and we've talked about, you've been on this journey for 9 months, almost 20 years ago now. So you have first-hand experience in supporting our whānau to continue that journey. And like you've said, they're not going to ask for help. They don't know what help is, or they don't know what the help they need is. So you've got that experience firsthand, and you're able to support our whānau. While this tournament is a touch tournament, and then we're adding in the Brooklyn Bash with golf, and because golf is very hot at the moment, all our whānau are playing golf, whether they're pro or amateurs or whatever, have it. But let's talk a little bit more about our B-man and about Brooklyn and the type of person he was. I can see his beautiful big smile, his cheeky face, and he was cheeky. Like, I'm not going to lie, he was very smart, witty, cheeky, and out of both him and his brother, he would go for it. He would absolutely go for it. But his love for hākinakina and for the game of touch. So let's talk more about our boy.
Sure. And, he also loved his kura. So whenever he had a chance to represent the kura, he's in there with his pinks on, he's quite different to his brother Raikahu, because he is a lot more outspoken and cheeky, as you say. And as you're well aware, your own home too was a second home for him and his brother. And we loved the fact that we could connect them back up the path as well. And it gave them a purpose to be able to mingle with others outside of our home. I mean, our home has always been about kids.
Absolutely.
And our mokopuna, and, of which they are both our mokopuna as well. But connecting them with all of our whānau was really important as well. Brooklyn as you say, he played many sports.
Yeah.
And when we eventually had his unveiling, that was one of the things that we wanted to portray on his headstone.
Yeah.
So on the side of his headstone, we've imprinted a whole range of different icons that connected him to touch, to rugby, to golf, to basketball, to volleyball, all those sorts of things. And at the base of his headstone as well reads the Brooklyn's Love Foundation. And it wasn't until the night of his nehu when Dom and I went to bed at Te Ao Marae, we both woke pretty early, like 4:30 or something in the morning, because we both had quite different dreams. Anyway, that prompted us to want to go and talk with him.
Yeah.
So we got up at that hour and we went down to the Urupa, which is up at Te Ao past Te Ao, at the mainstream cemetery, and we went and had a talk with our boy. And we were, just having that discussion around why us, why were we taken through this journey, and, albeit part of the grieving process, we needed to make some sort of meaning behind why he was taken so early. Anyway, so there was born the notion of establishing a foundation in his name. Brooklyn's love because he loved everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he particularly had a really close affiliation with our youngest daughter, Hida, who was still breastfeeding at the time when we went up to Starship. And she became a really good, what's the word, a happy space for him. Yeah. So whilst up at Starship, there's many kids who are going through oncology treatment who are neutropenic or don't have the white cells enough to be able to battle infections. Yeah. So it wasn't a known thing that other visitors, particularly kids who often carry germs, were allowed on the ward. Yeah. So I fought to get Brooklyn his own room so I could take my kids up on the ward. And often, Hida, not even one at this stage, would sleep by Brooklyn, all of that sort of stuff. But he absolutely loved kids. Yeah. And even when we were out doing things, having picnics with other people, he's always looking out for other kids, whether they're our own or not. Yeah. Making sure they're safe and all that sort of thing. Playing with them, which, his older brother wasn't that keen on doing. Yeah. But, he was always there for them. But when I think about it now, that cheeky smile, man, that does it all, eh? Yeah. And Kylie's brother, who's a DJ down in Otautahi, he had a mate that was a bit of an artist. Yeah. He's a puru from down there. I'm not sure he's connected to the purus here. Potentially. But anyway, he used to go to different gigs and he'd hand draw artists who were performing live. Oh, wow. Anyway, Kylie's bro asked us for a photo of Brooklyn, so I sent him one of Brooklyn sitting in his wheelchair up at Starship, but he's got this big ass grin on his face and he's wearing his porto, which he's really well known for. Yeah. And for those of you who are familiar with the Brooklyn's Love Foundation logo, that's a profile of Brooklyn with his porto. Well, this artist, he did like a graffiti style art piece of Brooklyn with his big ass grin, and he sent it back to us. Sadly, by the time the painting arrived back, Brooklyn had already passed. But that's just a beautiful reminder of what that kid was all about. Absolutely. Despite being in Starship and having all these cables and cords hanging off his chest and all of that, he was really keen to ensure that other people around him were catered for first. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, even when I was up there for 5 months straight with him, obviously a mother figure, but he's busy telling Dom after 3 months, you need to get back, you need to go to work, you need to pay the bills, there's all the other mokos, and so Brooklyn endured so much really that we hadn't even thought about because we were just so worried about him. And when I think about it now, Dom played a huge role as being a playmate for Brooklyn while we were up there, whereas, I'm more the researcher. Doctor says some out of it word and I'll go away and research it and see what that means and talk with oncologists and talk with the pain doctors and the bloods doctors and I think Brooklyn had something like 9 doctors while he was up at Starship, and I had to get to know each of them to be able to better understand what it is they were going to do, how that's going to affect him. And then I have the conversation with Brooklyn in plain English about, okay, this is coming up, we've got to go and see that doctor, and we've got to go get bloods done, so that I could better prepare him for all of that sort of stuff. He had what they call as a peg, which was placed in his puku, which was a kind of like a feeding tube in the end, because of the radiotherapy that he was having. He lost all sense of taste, and then eventually couldn't eat. So we had to feed him through the tube. Now, changing out a tube is quite a arduous task, and no doubt it could be really painful, I guess. Well, he learned how to do that himself.
Of course.
You know, instead of waiting for a doctor to do it. Because he's a bit impatient, and that's Papa Dom's side, no doubt. But, so he just was a miracle, really, when I think about it. Not so much that he didn't live past his 12th year, but the fact that he thought about everything that was going to impact not just on himself but on all of our whānau and those around us. So one of the things he did ask for earlier on in the days, once he realised, you know, and this is all the pussyfooting that we're doing around him, he knew it was cancer, even though we wouldn't say the word. But, you know, it was all about hope. So this disease that he had called rhabdomyosarcoma was a 20% survival rate of that, and it mostly affected young boys more than girls. And once he didn't care about learning about any of that sort of stuff, he knew it must have been dire for him to have to stay up there. So we asked for my parents to go up there. So, you know, and everything happens for a reason. Prior to us going up there, I was made redundant. So I booked a hotel, and I got my mum and dad up there, and, you know, Dad being quite a spiritual man, we'd have karakia 7 in the evening and 7 o'clock in the morning. And I made sure that the nursing staff were aware that my parents were going to come and have karakia, because, you know, having them on the ward at that hour in the morning was a big no-no. But we managed to do that, and because, you know, there's Mum, Dad, myself, Hira and Brooklyn in the room, and whoever else might have been up there at the time having karakia, and then there's a waiata and all of that sort of stuff. Well, the rest of the ward caught on, and they wanted a piece of that. So, you know, hard, because mostly they're neutropenic as well. So we organised through Dad that we'd come up on the ward at 6:30 in the morning with Brooklyn. And then Dad would go down into the playground on the bottom floor and have karakia for everybody else. So parents and other kids that were able to leave the ward would go down in the playground, and they'd have a mass karakia. And that became Brooklyn's norm for about a month while he was up there with Mum and Dad. And then I had to sadly return them back home. So, but, you know, beautiful to see. You know, and even though Brooklyn, you know, he wasn't really a greedy guy. He was always worried about making sure that other people were catered for as well. Strangers, you know, everybody.
And that's just his ngākau mahaki, his manaakitanga, and like you said, Brooklyn's Love Foundation, it was because Brooklyn had this enormous love for everybody, for all his whānau, for all his mates, for his kura, for ha kina. And it's beautiful that, you know, he was able to share himself, you know, with Vianan and Koro, with the rest of his whānau that he had made at Starship, with the rest of the tamariki mokopuna and the whānau that were there.